Hey everybody, it's Fitness Forever TV with M and B, but M's not here. Okay, M's out celebrating her birthday this week, so you got me, and I'm really excited to be here. So, all over the internet, no matter where you go, you're gonna find that question, hey, how do I lose weight? So guess what I'm gonna do today? I'm gonna tackle that question with a no holds barred answer. But first, and you can go ahead and say it with me if you want, the intro. Hey, it's Brad minus B, and like I said, we're going to tackle that question, how to lose weight. In theory, it's very simple. Burn more calories than you eat. Like I said, in theory. Unfortunately, society really makes it very difficult. Wherever you go, whatever you do, whether it's on the internet, it's on billboards, it's on television, there's ads for either weight loss products, get fit fast, whatever you're doing, or food, which causes those temptations, right? But it really is that simple. Burn more calories than you eat. Okay, so just wait a second, wait. I can just see people in there starting to click off this video. Just humor me for just a second, okay? I am not going to give you advice on what to eat or what you should follow. I am just going to give you what I and numbers of my clients and millions of people have discovered. And that's just what I had stated. So think back, right? Let's really take a look at this. What is the most popular and successful weight loss approach in the world? And what's been around since you can remember? Weight Watchers, right? So let's talk about how Weight Watchers works. Weight Watchers gives everybody a point allotment. And then every food is given a point value. When you're done with your allotment, you're done eating for the day. So what does that say to you? Calories, right? It's exactly what it is. Calories in, calories out. So I can hear you talking about it. Oh, we've all heard this before, Brad. I've tried it, but you know what? Keto worked for me. Paleo worked for me. Atkins worked for me. I actually used low fat. Well, let's really take a look at it. Let's talk about keto. So keto is using fat as an energy source. So what's fat, right? Avocados, cheese, bacon, whatever, and nutrient value and fat is very dense. So it satiates you, and with the other things that you eat. So you don't need to eat as much. So if you don't need to eat as much, that means you're not taking in that many calories, right? See what I mean? Calories in, calories out. What about paleo? It's meat and vegetables. Meat's a high protein source, again, very dense. And vegetables, a lot of your vegetables out there, it actually takes more calories to digest them than you're actually getting through the food. So again, satiating, you can eat as many vegetables as you want at a very low calorie base. Lower amount of calories, burn more than you eat. Okay, let's talk about intermittent fasting. Here you go. So you don't eat for 16 hours a day and you have an 8-hour window in one of the approaches. Again, you've only got 8 hours to eat, lower amount of calories because you can only take in so much during those 8 hours. Don't even get me started on OMAD. OMAD's another version of intermittent fasting. OMAD is OMAD, 1 meal a day. You can only sit down, no matter how hungry you are, you can only stuff so much food into your mouth. Therefore, lower calories. Now, don't get me wrong, any of these approaches can be rationalized to be not healthy. I think M actually talked about it when we had Chef Fee on the show, right in this very kitchen, when she said, oh yeah, keto, you can eat bacon, all the bacon you want. Well, that's not the intent of the diet. What I'm talking about is the very intent of what those diets, those lifestyles are used for. And eating all the bacon and cheese and everything you want is not the intent of keto. You can make vegan unhealthy because in vegan, obviously you're utilizing a lot more multigrains, right? More carbs. Therefore, you can make that a very high calorie diet. So we also have to be, very concerned. But vegan, again, nuts, seeds, beans, and a lot of vegetables, lower calorie. So let's talk about sustainability. In other words, staying on your plan or staying in your lifestyle. How is it sustainable? Well, this could be done by answering one very specific question, but it's a very, very hard question to answer. Why? Why do you want to lose weight? Is it for aesthetics? Is it for medical reasons? Is it for sports performance? Is it so you can just feel good about yourself? Well, depending on your answer is going to be what approach are you going to use. So for instance, what if it's medical? You're a little bit on the obese side, doc says you got to lose some weight. Or if you just want to feel good. Calories in, calories out. Doesn't matter what you eat. You can even have Oreo if you want, as long as your next meal is a lot lower calorie and you're burning it. What about sports performance? I am an endurance athlete. Guess what? I have to have carbs. If I don't use carbs, then I am not going to get to a speed level that I want, or I'm not going to be able to be on the bike or running and be able to go further faster because I won't have the energy in my glycogen stores if I'm on a higher fat, higher protein diet. So I need carbs as an endurance athlete. For some of the other sports, you might need other things. So power lifters and all that, much more protein, maybe a higher fat content. So depending on the sport is what approach you're going to use. But for endurance athletes, heck, there's a lot of times that they want to lose weight. I can run faster if I'm lighter. I could bike faster if I'm lighter. So yeah, so sometimes, we have to go through an approach where we can lose a little bit of weight. So what about aesthetics? So what you eat can actually influence your body right away depending on your fat percentage. And let me give you a quick example. So a friend of mine was doing a bikini show, right? That's the IFBB, they're bodybuilders, there's figures, and then there's the bikini round. And she was doing her very first bikini show. And she was all excited. She worked out like mad and she was very disciplined on her diet. When she got on stage, her coach looked at her and noticed that she was like really ripped. Like she probably could have given the figure competitions run for their money, but she was in bikini. So actually that would count against her to be that ripped. So what do you think he did? Yeah, went to McDonald's, got a single cheeseburger and handed it to her and told her to eat it. Half hour later, she wasn't as vascular. She was able to take second in her age division. I mean, isn't that amazing? But it just goes to show you what you eat can show up right away. So aesthetics, you might be looking at more on maybe on the keto or a low fat diet versus, low carb. So those are things that you definitely want to look at as far as your weight loss approach. What are you using it for, right? So your approach might change. Still, you're looking at, right back to what we talked about, is burning more calories than you eat. There's a couple of different reasons why people do not succeed in their weight loss journeys. I've found the number one reason is people are just not honest with themselves. I know, I can hear people talking in the background. I can hear, hey, what do you mean they're not honest with me? Are you calling me a liar? No, I'm not calling you a liar. And because it's your journey, so however you go forth and conquer, that's how you're gonna do it. But there's always those times when, okay, I'm at the office and there's a birthday party, so I had that piece of cake and just don't remember that I had it, and you don't journal it down. Or it's just a thing that you don't want to see that on your journal. So you're like, I'm just not gonna put it down. Or you just plain old don't remember that extra can of Coke. Maybe you grabbed a can of Coke out of a chest and you were drinking it socially, or a beer even, and you didn't put it on your food log. So those are those things. You've got to be super committed. So what I'm saying is some people are just not honest with themselves. So when they get on the scale, they're like, oh, calories in, calories out don't work. It does. You've got to be super committed to it and be honest with yourself. Now, the second reason is super fixable. It's people don't know what their baseline is. They don't know what their resting metabolic rate is, sometimes called the basal metabolic rate. So the resting metabolic rate is how many calories that you burn naturally in a 24-hour day if you were just sitting on the couch doing nothing. How do you find your resting metabolic rate? Well, there are some resources online, and I'll link to them. They'll give you subjective. They're not going to be 100% accurate, obviously, because everybody's different. And then there are some scales out there that are digital and that will also give you a resting metabolic rate within their app. And I'll go ahead and link to that as well. So let's say you have found that you have a resting metabolic rate of 1,500 calories. All right, so that's when you are completely at rest, sitting on the couch, doing nothing for 24 hours. Now we need to find out, how do we add in what your normal daily routines burn? So getting up, going to the bathroom, washing your hands, washing the dishes, walking to work, all that stuff burns calories. So we need to find out, what is your normal day like? So that might be, another 300 calories. So now you're at 1,800 calories. Well, if you eat 1,300 calories, now you're going to have a deficit of 500 calories. Keep having a deficit, you're going to lose weight. If you eat 2,000 calories, you're going to end up with a surplus of 200 calories. And that's a surplus. If you have a surplus more than you burned, you're going to gain weight. So that's the basics of how to find what your resting metabolic rate is and why you would gain weight. And the whole thing is that people just don't find out what their resting metabolic rate is. So then you could find out what you burned by using an activity tracker. And then of course, there are also some very subjective tools online that will help you out. And we're going to talk about that in just a second. So there's one small pitfall when you're talking about a deficit. You might be thinking to yourself, well, Brad, you're saying, 500 calories, 600 calories. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to make sure that I have a deficit of over 1,000 calories every single day. Well, there's a small pitfall with that. Our bodies are extremely adaptable. Unfortunately, at 1,000 calories per day, your body will start to reduce its metabolic rate. So you'll start storing fat, and you might actually end up gaining weight because everything that you're eating is going to be stored. And therefore, it brings down your metabolic rate, and then you end up with a much lower RMR, resting metabolic rate. So when you think that you're having a deficit of 1,000 calories because you have an RMR of 1,500 calories, well, all of a sudden you find that your body has slowed down to 1,000 calories and now you're just maintaining. You don't want to have more of a deficit than 400 to 600 calories. Now, this is a lot of work that I've done with my clients who have gone ahead and done this deficit. We found that keeping your range between 400 and 600 calories per day is very sustainable, and you'll start losing weight. But also think about it. 400 to 600 calories is an average of 500 calories. 500 calories times 7 days a week is 3,500 calories. 3,500 calories is exactly 1 pound of weight. So one pound per week, which if all the experts, all the doctors have also said that's the very safest way to lose weight, is a pound per week. So now that you've found your RMR, you know that you know what you're burning. Now we have to find out, what am I ingesting? What is the exact amount of calories that I'm ingesting, or at least a close approximate? Plenty of applications out there. My favorite is MyFitnessPal. It has a very large database. It's very popular. So all you have to do is go in there and you tell it what you ate, and it goes against the database of either if it's packaged or if it's from a restaurant or whatever, it'll give you that amount of calories. But also, if you make your own recipe, you can actually put your recipe into MyFitnessPal, and it'll take each ingredient, decide what those calories are, and then give you a pretty good estimation of what the amount of calories that you've put into your body. The nice thing also about MyFitnessPal is that it will link to numerous of the most popular trackers. So throughout the day, you'll actually get exactly what you burned. So we talked about that RMR. So once you found your RMR, you could go one full day, link your activity tracker to MyFitnessPal, and it'll tell you exactly what you burned. So now you'll get a good approximation of what your normal daily burn is, including your RMR. At that point, now you've got everything. If you do not have an activity tracker, it will give you an approximation. You can also put in what exercise you've done, and they've got another database of exercise that you did and for how long, and it'll give you an approximate number of calories that you've burned for that as well. So you don't necessarily need an activity tracker, but those when it links to an activity tracker, it's just a little bit more accurate. So how do you go about weight loss? In summary, basically, 1, find out your why. Why are you losing it? So you can find out what your approach is, which is number 2. Find out what your approach is going to be to losing weight. 3, find out what your resting metabolic rate and then what you burn on a daily basis. And then 4 is go ahead and track everything that you ingested, and then you can subtract that and find out what your deficit is, keeping your deficit between 400 and 600 calories per day. So lastly, I want to talk about just one more thing, and I've said it a couple times on other episodes. My favorite way that I've seen people lose a lot of weight is that's not their primary goal. Their primary goal is to do something out of their comfort zone, some sort of challenge that they never thought they would have to do before. You know, anything from you just want to finish a 5K. Well, think about it. If you've never run before and you're taking on the challenge of running 5 miles and you start doing a lot more work to get there, well, you're moving a lot more, which means you're burning more calories. So with any challenge that you do, you're probably going to find out that you're going to need some nutritional balance in there, and you'll automatically start eating cleaner because you want to succeed. So that is probably the best way to go about it. I would say find something that you've always wanted to do and find that first step to get there and move in that path and have weight loss as your secondary or even as a fringe benefit of going ahead and finding this other aspect. And those challenges could be anything. I mentioned 5K, 10K, a half marathon, for your first triathlon. M loves OCR races. You can even go as far as, oh, I want to do so many pull-ups. I want to do so many push-ups. I want to be able to do a certain circuit in an amount of time, or a certain workout in an amount of time, and you've never done that before. Well, just working your way towards that, you'll be moving more, eating cleaner, and you'll find yourself losing weight if that's what you need to do. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to give Em a big old happy birthday in the comments. And if you loved it, put a comment down and ask any questions you want. And subscribe, like if you want to, or if you weren't crazy about this video, hit the dislike if that's what you're into. But until next time, stay motivated.